The fanbase getting split with every new title update has become a tradition in Monster Hunter Wilds. Irrespective of what Capcom tried to introduce as the latest flagship entry, there was always something that did not sit well with certain parts of the player base. The latest Gogmazios update has unsurprisingly seen similar responses. However, this time there seems to be some grounds for criticism. Wild's first Elder Dragon feels very similar to the Alatreon encounter from World in terms of the setting, but it doesn't bring the same amount of thrill and satisfaction to the table. If you've dipped your toes in the Gogmazios encounter already, you've encountered the siege mechanics. The Elder Dragon moves from one area to the next once you've met certain HP depletion thresholds, leading to a DPS check mechanic in the final stage. If you've played World, you will know that Alatreon followed a similar DPS check mechanic. You were forced not only to break both its horns, but do enough elemental damage so that you don't get one-shot by the Eschaton Judgment. Now technically, Gogmazios is a bit more forgiving than Alatreon. The DPS check isn't as steep, and you can always rely on charged Wyvern Slingers to shoot it out of the sky and meet the damage threshold. Additionally, you have a band of support hunters with you. Now these guys, they'll always take the aggro from you during the siege, and that is exactly where the problem lies. Now Alatreon wasn't a siege. It was just you, your Palico, or perhaps other hunters, and the Black Dragon in a confined space, going blow for blow. Now this is exactly what made the fight so challenging and was one of the reasons behind its replayability and the hunt satisfaction. The Gogmazios siege on the other hand is very mechanic heavy. Since there are only a couple of ways in which you can approach the encounter, it tends to become monotonous after a point. Additionally, the Elder Dragon has a very limited set of moves. And while you might fail some of your initial hunts, after you've spent some time with this guy in the arena, you'll know what to expect after every tar explosion or oil beam. But before you come at us with your pitchforks and your greatswords, please don't get us wrong. The Gogmazios siege is absolute cinema, and the way the whole hunt goes about, ending with the proof of a hero in the background, it all just hits very differently. However, the novelty of the encounter gets very old very fast. This wouldn't really have been a problem if you were just hunting Gogmazios a couple of times, making it set and then moving on. Unfortunately, this is supposed to be the meta-defining endgame in Wilds right now, and you're meant to farm it on repeat until you finally get the god rolls that you want in your Artian weapons. The Gogmazios gem also has an abysmal drop rate, which makes the overall encounter more frustrating. Now, without a gem, you're not able to transcend any of its armor sets. So, with this entire ordeal, Capcom is kinda trying to goad you into playing the event quest over and over and over again till you either get what you want or you just give up and wait for Master Rank to come. When that happens, all your existing meta sets will completely become useless, and the first Chatacabra that you see will probably beat you to a pulp. Again, Gogmazios is a fun fight, but it lacks replayability. The siege doesn't really have an Alatreon problem. It has something worse. Monster Hunter Wilds, ever since its release, has always struggled with making its endgame high rank content replayable, and Gogmazios is a very good example of that. Now, Alatreon, while seemingly impossible at first, was always a fair fight. The Black Dragon pushed you out of your comfort zone and forced you to be a much better hunter, ultimately teaching you how to punish monster openings and be versatile with build options. Unfortunately, Gogmazios doesn't do all that. It just forces environmental interaction to ensure DPS uptime and comes with a shoot it out of the sky mechanic, which gets exceedingly annoying the more you try to fight. The encounter isn't a skill check, it's a knowledge check and is all about how you're spacing out the environmental interaction to keep up the damage. For an endgame meta-defining final boss encounter, Gogmazios does feel very gimmicky. And it's not that Capcom hasn't done it before. The developers really know how to build Elder Dragon fights. Take a look at Fatalis, for example. Or maybe even Teostra. These fights were fun. Now, we're not saying that Gogmazios wasn't fun. It's a fun siege. It's good. But it does have the potential to be better. A lot better.